Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to once again talk about some changes that have been brought in from the last major update. There was a changelog that came out yesterday clarifying a few new mechanics that are going to be coming out, and then also I thought we would have a look at a bit of a double standard when it comes to certain vehicles. Gaijin have also put out a clarification when it comes to the Abrams and the Leopard situation, so we'll go through that too, since of course it's a hot button topic and I think it's good to cover all of the news on it. So, as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Let's get started. So if you missed the video yesterday, basically the IPM1, the M1, the Leopard 2A4s, and also the Type 90s got a bug fixed when it came to the last major update. It was a bug that caused ammunition rack detonations to not knock out all crew members. That has been fixed. That's what it says in the changelog, right? But, as always, this isn't the full story. And what has happened right now, since Gaijin has realized a lot of the community is getting annoyed at this, because it just seems like a very random change, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, they have at least clarified this, and they've done it through good old Esmin. Esmin is a community manager. He's one of the better sources of information when it comes to War Thunder, and very much worth listening to. And also, just generally quite a kind guy. I mean, the amount of stuff he has to deal with per day, plus also having a second job similar to me, it basically makes it quite commendable, and to be honest, he should be very much thanked for everything that he does. So when it comes to Esmin, he put out a post and it says, blowout panels don't protect from explosions of a large part of the rack. It may be possible to survive a shell or two exploding, but certainly not multiple. They only protect fully from the fire of the ammunition cooking off. This is why the wording in the major changelog could have been misunderstood. What we were trying to say was that a bug that caused ammunition rack explosions with blowout panels to not knock out crew members when a tank was loaded with heat or HESH shells, meaning there was a chance for an explosion to trigger, was fixed. This was fixed while blowout panels still do protect from ammunition fire cook-offs if the door between the protected area and the fighting compartment wasn't damaged, as can be seen on the Leopard 2 in the test drive. It's also worth noting that if the bulkhead between the fighting compartment and the protected ammunition racks was damaged, it doesn't provide protection from ammunition cook-off fire anymore. Therefore, most of the time, only hits from the sides of the turret can lead to the tank surviving a hit. However, there was also a bug which made the fact of bulkhead protection sometimes ignored, which caused the tanks to survive more often, which I'm guessing is also fixed. So that's the official response when it comes to this. So they're basically making it where if you have a decent amount of heat or HESH in the back, if enough of it explodes, then the blowout panel will just not work. And we can debate whether that is true or not when it comes to specific vehicles, because obviously in real life, I'm guessing most of the time they have a decent amount of that loaded too. And with the videos that have been circulating, they have also survived with a blowout panel hit. So who knows? But that's at least their official clarification on the matter. It would be nice if this was part of the changelog or a note on the changelog, or even if there was, a link on the changelog to the bug reports that fixed this, or maybe there just wasn't a bug report to it, who knows. He also clarified about the differences between the Abrams and the Leopards in the test drives. Basically, the AI Abrams, for some reason in the test drives, has heat shells loaded instead of APF-SDS, whereas the Leopard 2 tanks have APF-SDS loaded. So what they're going to do in the future is they're going to add APF-SDS to the Abrams to kind of make it actually make sense. So basically, all of the guys who have been hit in the ammo rack, but only carrying APF-SDS, it shouldn't actually affect how your blowout panels work, at least on the vehicles that are affected. When it comes to if you carry a lot more heat or HESH, so basically if you're stock or if you feel really lucky, then you will explode. And so I'm sure this is a lot better for people in general, because, most people only use APF-SDS, because why would you use anything else really? But this will probably affect, as I said, stock players more, because it means that they have less survivability, because they don't have access to the APF-SDS, which sucks. Just seems still like a weird change, but at least we have a clarification. There was also another change in the major updates which kind of sparked my mind, and the reason I haven't talked about it yet is because I'm trying to actually put similar topics together in videos, and this is another one which is about kind of damage models and also updated systems. So you have the T-72s, the T-80s, the T-90s, the ZTZ-96s, ZTZ-99s, the WZ-1001E LCT, the VT-4A1, the MBT-2000, and the Al-Khalid. They've added a new FCS module to them, and also trunnions have been added too. But destruction of these models on these tanks doesn't yet affect the function of the tank's systems, just as on other MBTs in the game currently. Later, after these modules have been added to the majority of MBTs in the game, their functionality will be enabled all at once. So basically, they've added the visual model, but physically, they do not do anything. And this is weird and very odd that they did this for this specific reason, because if you actually have a look at other vehicles which have similar stuff, for example, they have stuff which is in their updated model which does affect how they play stuff. For example, the Leopard and the Abrams and many others. If you have a look at the M1 Abrams, it has a hydraulic pump in it. If this hydraulic pump gets damaged, basically it affects your vertical aiming drive and also the horizontal aiming drive. And then you also have the big old turret basket, which has caused so many issues for so many people. For some reason, Gaijin didn't wait until all of the other vehicles in the game got these turret baskets, e.g. stuff like the Type 10 and the TKX, and I believe the Challengers also don't have those. But for the Leopards and the Abrams and all of this, it was fine for them to get theirs, and also for it not to be disabled in terms of how much damage it does. There is also other systems and other vehicles that if you do knock out, actually knocks out the stabilizer on vehicles, therefore affecting the FCS. But I'm guessing that when it comes to that, that is something which is slightly different to what they're talking about now. And the more interesting thing, at least to me, is the fact that they've made this change or made this kind of update for a lot of the Soviet and also Chinese vehicles, which if they were following the same pattern that they'd done before with a bunch of the other vehicles, they would have added in the system straight away in order to basically follow the pattern. So this is either a positive thing where they've realized that at top tier, if you have a bunch of vehicles with certain updated mechanics and models and other vehicles which don't have updated mechanics and models, it actually gives a massive advantage to the ones which are outdated instead of updated. And then also, it means that they are kind of learning from their mistakes. It also could just be the whole bias thing that people talk about, but I'm not sure that's the case. If we're being honest, I think it would be better if they took this route with everything else. So in terms of like the turret basket stuff and in terms of the hydraulic pump and stuff like that, I think their damage models should be removed until we actually have a situation where every vehicle has itself, its own stuff. When we did the video about the Type 10, we talked about it there. The Type 10 only has an updated autoloader. It does not have an updated turret ring. It does not have an updated model really at all. So this means a lot of the shots just shoot straight through the vehicle, where in other vehicles it will just annihilate your turret ring and make it very annoying to play. If you have a look at something like the Challenger 2, for example, it does exactly the same thing. It doesn't have a turret basket modeled, so therefore the rounds just go straight through, don't hit your turret ring, and basically hit the engine in the back. So you have basically a two-tiered system at this BR, and it's just really funny how they decided that with the Soviet and the Chinese vehicles to not add them to this two-tiered system in the way that they should have. So, as I said, this is either them learning, or this is them basically being a bit favorite compared to some other vehicles. But who knows? Anything's possible, I suppose. Another interesting model update was to the T90M, where they added an auxiliary power unit module to it, but then they removed it again. So it says in the most recent changelog, auxiliary power unit module has been removed until the corresponding mechanics appear in the game. So basically, for certain models, they are adding them into the game, but not adding their functionality in, and then other models they are now removing because they aren't going to put in their corresponding mechanics yet. So it's a little bit confusing why they're doing all of these different things, and also seem to have different rules for pretty much everything. But what this does confirm, which is really cool, is the existence of APUs in the future, auxiliary power units. This means that if your engine gets knocked out in the future and your auxiliary power unit doesn't, maybe you'll be able to not have, you know, your power run out, and you'll still be able to use stuff for a while all of your stuff gets repaired. This will be really cool, and it will be another mechanic that doesn't just affect the high tier stuff, by the way. There should be a lot of this kind of in the mid tier as well, which will be really nice. And it's just awesome to see them working on mechanics like this to further the game. It's just been a very odd period when it comes to War Thunder in terms of what is being added and why certain things are missing, you know, certain mechanics, and why certain things aren't. And I'm sure there'll be no clarifications as to why anything is going on, and hopefully there is, but who knows at the end of the day. But the main thing to take out of this, the Abrams and the Leopard blowout panels, and also the Type 90s blowout panels are still intact if you mainly use APFSDS. If you use more heat and HESH, then they won't be intact. The Soviet and Chinese vehicles got their FCSs modeled, but they're not part of the damage model because that would be unfair, I'm guessing, because a bunch of other vehicles don't have their FCSs modeled, even though there is a lot of vehicles in the game that have stuff modeled that others don't, and they do affect the vehicles in the game. And the T90M had an auxiliary power unit, which didn't work because the mechanic isn't in yet, and when they do bring it in, they're going to bring it back, and probably with another bunch of vehicles too. So that's all of the mechanics and also model news. What a cluster. That's all I can say. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.